Yo, what's up, guys? It's Noah here, breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Tuesday, January the 7th. We're going to cover Tuesday 6-game slate. We're going to go position by position, talk about some of the plays that stand out to me the most. Just looking at this slate the night before, give some of my early thoughts at each position. As we go, like always, we'll build out a core of 5 plays. These are 5 players that I see for both Draftkings and Yahoo that I really like, just looking at this slate the night before. There's some injury news we're going to have to watch heading into Tuesday. There's some starting lineups we're going to need some clarity on, like with the Raptors being without Fred VanVleet. That's definitely going to open up some potential value depending on what their starting lineup looks like. So we'll have to keep an eye on that heading into Tuesday. We're going to have to watch the status of Karl Anthony Towns, see if he plays. He's listed as questionable. Kevin Love rested on Sunday, I believe it was. Don't know yet if he's going to play or not. I mean, there's trade rumors right now going with Kevin Love, so that'll be something worth monitoring heading up until Tuesday. CJ McCollum also was out Sunday. He's questionable on Tuesday. Guys like Marcus Morris, Tristan Thompson, going to have to watch as well. Norman Powell's doubtful. Elfrid Payton questionable. So another slate where we have a lot of injury news we're going to have to keep an eye on heading into the Tuesday slate. So we'll talk about that once we go through each position. Just before we do get started, guys, as always, I would greatly appreciate it if you would drop a like down below. If these videos are helpful for you, or if they're helpful to you, I should say, definitely appreciate it if you would hit that like button. Subscribe as well. If you haven't subscribed yet, click that subscribe button. We are getting very close to 18,000 subscribers, which is just absolutely insane. I cannot thank you guys enough for all the support y'all have given me on this YouTube channel. If you are new, never subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. Click the notification bell as well, so that way you do get notified every time I upload. If you haven't yet, you can also follow me on Twitter. I'm very active over on Twitter. If you want to give me a follow, feel free to do so at DFS by Noah. Link is down in the description. Also, down in the description is my Patreon. If you want to check out all the exclusive content I have to offer over there, get access to my articles. I make private videos over on Patreon. I give updated core plays. I have a Discord chat that you can join where we're pretty much talking through the slate up until lock. I'm answering questions, helping you guys build out your lineup. You can get access to all that over on Patreon. I post NBA content Monday through Friday over there. I do also put up NFL content later on in the week, usually Thursday, Friday, Saturdays when my NFL content goes up. So check out the Patreon as well, link down below in the description. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and look at point guard for today's slate. We got LeBron James at the top, most expensive player on the slate overall at 11-2, also the most expensive point guard. So I don't think LeBron's going to be like a core play for me at this salary. There's other guys I like for cheaper today. If I'm going to play someone, if I'm going to pay up for someone on this slate, it's probably going to be Anthony Davis over LeBron. AD's 500 cheaper. I mean, both guys are in play. I just don't think LeBron's going to be like a core play for me at this salary. Like, he needs to go for 60-plus DraftKings points to even be like a good tournament play at this salary. LeBron has that kind of upside. Obviously, in a matchup against the Knicks, there's definitely blowout potential here. LeBron's just never a guy I feel like I have to have, especially when he's over 11K on DraftKings. I'd rather play Davis for just 500 less, especially with how AD's been playing recently. Over 70 DraftKings points, or 64 DK points, I should say, the last 2 games. He had 8 blocks last game. I know on Yahoo with how they do their scoring, giving 3 points per block. AD got over 70 fantasy points on Yahoo on the last slate Sunday night. He's been playing really well lately. I think you do get a little bit more upside out of Davis, so I do prefer to go to him if I'm going to pay up for one of those 2 guys. But honestly, my favorite point guard play today is probably Kyle Lowry. I really like Kyle Lowry today. He's 8,700 on DraftKings, and over on Yahoo, he's at $39. So we do know that the Raptors are going to be without Fred VanVleet today. We know that Pascal Siakam, Norman Powell, Marc Gasol, these guys are going to remain out as well. At least Powell's listed as doubtful, so he's not expected to play. But we know VanVleet, Siakam, but VanVleet, Siakam, Gasol going to be out. Powell should be out, and VanVleet's going to be out as well. So that's potentially 5 guys that are going to be out today for the Raptors. We can pull up the court IQ, look at the usage so far this season with all 5 of those guys off the floor. I don't think we're going to get much of a sample size, but we can take Gasol, Powell, Siakam, and VanVleet off the floor. Those 4 guys. I don't know why I said 5 guys. It's going to be 4 guys out for the Raptors today. I think we get like 160 minutes, 136 minutes this season with Kyle Lowry playing with all 4 of those guys off the floor. near 32% usage rate, averaging 1.45 fantasy points per minute, 45% assist percentage. Lowry has really good numbers this season with those guys off the floor. I mean, it's going to be him and Serge Ibaka just doing all the heavy lifting. OG will contribute as well, but it's mainly going to be Lowry. I mean, Lowry's just going to get all the usage, especially with VanVleet off the floor. We know he's going to play huge minutes. Even in a 19-point win against Brooklyn in their last game, Kyle Lowry still played 43 minutes. Like, it's reasonable to project him for 40 minutes today. I think that's probably what he plays, 38 to 40 minutes. He's been close to a 1.4 fantasy point per minute player this season with all those guys off the floor today. Great matchup against Portland as well. Portland does play at a pretty fast pace. They're 11th in pace this season. Against point guards, they don't do really well defensively. Dame Lillard, not that good of a defender. I think I don't know how they're going to attack this. Like, people might shy away from Lowry, given that his price is near $9K on Draftkings, especially when you look at Devin Booker's game log. Devin Booker just $100 more. He's been playing really well lately, over 50 Draftkings points in 4 of his last 5 games. People honestly might go to Booker over Lowry today, and I think that is a mistake. I do prefer to go to Kyle Lowry, especially with no VanVleet. Like, he's just going to get all the usage. Fast-paced game as well. Don't have a total on this game, but I imagine once we do get a total on this game, it's probably going to be, I'd say, right behind Sacramento Phoenix towards the highest total on the slate. It's probably going to be like 222, 223. Should be a close game as well. So love Kyle Lowry at 8,700. One of my favorite plays on today's slate. You could obviously target Devin Booker, but I prefer Lowry. But if you want to, you could play both guys in the same lineup. I mean, Booker has shooting guard eligibility on Yahoo. Booker shooting guard in 36. So if you wanted to play him and Lowry together, you could do that. Just straight up, though, I would slightly prefer Lowry over Booker. Then you have a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who I think is in play against the Suns. 7,700, not like a core play for me by any means, but he would definitely be in my player pool today. Same with a guy like Ricky Rubio for 7,100. These guys wouldn't be core plays for me, but I would definitely have them in my player pool if I was playing multiple lineups. We're going to need to watch the status of CJ McCollum. Obviously, if McCollum is out, I didn't really touch on Damian Lillard, but if McCollum is out, you could argue that Damian Lillard's a better play than Kyle Lowry. I mean, last game with McCollum out, tough matchup against the Heat, and Lillard still put up 62 Draftkings points, played 42 minutes, 34 points, 12 assists, 1 rebound, 3 steals. Just a really productive game from Lillard. We know he's going to get all the usage with McCollum off the floor. So Dame Lillard would definitely be one of the top plays on the slate if McCollum is out, but that's just news we're going to have to kind of wait and see on heading into Tuesday. Same with Yahoo. Lillard's $45. He got priced up a bit, but he'd still be a really good play over there as well if McCollum does sit. D Rose, 6,400, I think is in play, but not a core play for me by any means. Really good matchup, though, against Cleveland. Cleveland, one of the worst defensive teams versus point guards this season, and just overall, really bad defensive team. We're definitely going to need to watch the status of Elfrid Payton. We don't know. I don't think Dennis Smith Jr. is out, or Dennis Smith Jr. is questionable, I believe. Yeah, okay, so DSJ is questionable. Elfrid Payton is questionable as well. Frank Ntilikina, we saw this it was a couple slates ago where both guys were questionable. Ultimately, Payton wound up playing. Dennis Smith Jr. wound up sitting. I think in that game, it was against the Suns. He played 16 minutes, had 10 Draftkings points off the bench. He was expected to be really popular that slate, but once we got the news that Payton was going to play, obviously he's not going to be nearly as popular. If we get news today that both Payton and Dennis Smith Jr. are going to be out, like, Ntilikina is not a very productive player, but he's 3,400, and he's probably going to have to play as many minutes as he can handle against the Lakers. I mean, not a good matchup, but really cheap. I know he's cheap on Yahoo as well. I did want to mention that Ntilikina would be a really good value if Payton is ultimately out today. That'll be news we need to watch on Tuesday. Hopefully we get some news like after shoot-around or something, maybe. We get some news in the afternoon. Terrence Davis could potentially start today for Fred VanVleet. He's 4,900 on DraftKings, so he's not a must-play by any means. Like, even if he starts, I don't think you have to play him at 4,900. If you're going to play him, it would be over on Yahoo. He's $10. Like, if he winds up starting, if I could spell his name, if Davis winds up starting for VanVleet, $10 at point guard, he would definitely be in play as a value option, but obviously that's news we're going to have to wait and see on. I mean, Jeff Teague is really, really cheap, but like first game back from injury, or I think it was an injury. Yeah, it was like an ankle injury. He played 17 minutes, had 15 DraftKings points. Like, I would love Jeff Teague today if we were going to get 30 minutes from him, but who knows if we get 30 minutes from him. Like, Towns could remain out as well. Like if we get Teague playing 30 minutes even off the bench without Karl-Anthony Towns, like he would be one of the best plays on the slate at 4,700, but we just don't know what kind of minutes we're going to get from Teague. The Timberwolves obviously have no incentive to win games right now. They're trying to lose. They're playing their young guys a ton of minutes. We even saw Wiggins. Wiggins really didn't get a ton of minutes in his first game back. Just really a hard thing to predict. So, I mean, even at 4,700, don't have a ton of confidence in Jeff Teague until we get some clarity on if he's going to play more minutes, which who knows. You got Ntilikina you could play here. I know Dante Exum is coming off a monster game. He had 37 DraftKings points in 24 minutes. Maybe if Kevin Love and all those guys remain out, we saw that Love and Thompson were both out last game. Maybe Exum could pick up some more usage off the bench, but 4,300 on DK, I mean, his price has come up, so he wouldn't be a top play for me by any means as well. I know Avery Bradley's expected to be out. I thought he was expected to be out. He rolled his ankle. X-rays came back negative, so he'll be probably a game-time decision. If he were to sit, maybe you'd see more minutes for like Rondo, more minutes for Caruso. Maybe those guys could become a play. But with that being a 10:30 game, I doubt we get that news before lock, which really sucks. So yeah, I think we talked about point guard. Moving on to shooting guard now and looking at this position. Really not much at the top that I love besides like Booker that you could go to. Wiggins' prices come down on DraftKings. He's down to 6,900. He played 31 minutes in his first game back from his illness. Had 32 DraftKings points. That was with Karl-Anthony Towns out. Just this season, Wiggins hasn't seen like massive bumps in his numbers with Towns off the floor. But if you go back to last season, Wiggins' numbers looked really good last season with Towns off the floor. I would expect that to be the case like as he gets more playing time without Karl-Anthony Towns. We don't know what his minutes are going to look like. I mean, he played 31 minutes. Maybe he gets 31 minutes again. Maybe they give him 36, 38 minutes. Like they were playing Wiggins 36, 38 minutes earlier this season when he was healthy and when they were competing, trying to win games. Fast-paced game against Memphis. I mean, both these teams are top 10 in pace this season. The Timberwolves are 5th. The Grizzlies are 3rd. They're actually top 5 in pace. We don't have a line on this game, but honestly, this game's probably going to have the highest total on the slate once we do get a line on it. So Wiggins, I do have some interest in, even though his minutes have been a little bit down. Like the usage is going to be there without Karl-Anthony Towns, especially if Towns does remain out. Hopefully, we get some news on that in the afternoon. I would have quite a bit of interest in Wiggins. 6,900 on DraftKings, $31 on Yahoo. I would definitely like him on both sites. But not much else I like in the mid-range at shooting guard. You could play Rose here, but like I said, he won't be like a core play for me. Napier still got pretty good minutes last game, 30 minutes against Cleveland, 36 DraftKings points. His price is 6,100, so not a must-play by any means, but really good matchup. It seems like they want to give Napier the minutes over Jeff Teague right now, so he's still in play even at 6,100, just not like a smash play that he has been the last few slates. Now that he's over 6K, and now that Teague's back, it's less likely he plays 34, 36 minutes. It's more likely he plays like 28 to 30. $20 on Yahoo, you could definitely go to him over there. But for value at shooting guard, for cheap plays, I know Culver still started last game. He played 28 minutes, had 34 DraftKings points. He's still cheap at 5K. Even with Wiggins back, they still started Culver. They started Wiggins at small forward. I imagine that's what they do today. So if you want to go to Culver again, 5K, I think he is in play at that salary. I think he's cheap on Yahoo as well. $19, not the best price tag, honestly. I'd probably get away from that, but 5K on DraftKings, he's in play as a value. But that's probably it for shooting guard. Kevin Porter's out. I forgot to talk about that, so he is going to be out today. It will be interesting to see who starts for the Cavs in this situation with Porter out. I guess that will benefit Dante Exum. I didn't talk about that. So with Kevin Porter out, that should give more minutes to Dante Exum. Maybe he moves into the starting lineup. I doubt it, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. If Dante Exum winds up starting, he could definitely be in play, or I would like him more at 4,300 if he does wind up starting. He's been a relatively productive player this season when given minutes, especially if Kevin Love were to remain out, and you would see more usage go to guys like Dante Exum. I forgot to talk about that Kevin Porter injury, but that is pretty big. That's going to open up some more minutes from Cleveland. Just looking at their guards like that they have, we obviously know they're going to start Garland and Sexton. They've been starting Kevin Porter at small forward, and then last game they started Seti at power forward and John Henson at center. If Kevin Love plays today, it's likely that Henson goes back to the bench. Maybe they start Kevin Love at center if Thompson's out. If Love and Thompson both play, they probably start Seti at small forward, and then you'll have guys And then, like, Kevin Porter normally comes off the bench, but he was able to start last game given the injuries. Who knows what their starting lineup will be today? Maybe Alfonso McKinney starts. Maybe Dante Exum starts. If Love and Osman are both healthy, I don't think either of those guys start. Or Love and Thompson. If Love and Thompson both play, I don't think either of those guys start. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see there. Luckily, that Cavs game is at 7 o'clock, so we will know that before lock. But yeah, I think that's it for shooting guard plays. Kent Bazemore does pick up a little bit more usage with McCollum off the floor. He played 35 minutes last game with McCollum out, but he only had 18 Draftkings points. I mean, fine value play. He shot 2 of 9 for the field, so he really got unlucky with the scoring. He did have 9 rebounds. I mean, 3,800, he's not out of play. I just wouldn't consider him a top value today. So let's go ahead and move on to small forward now. Looking at this position, you got Wiggins you could play here, who I talked about. I like quite a bit. Kelly Oubre, 7,300. I know he's been coming off some monster games. Came back down to earth last game with only 36 Draftkings points in 38 minutes. He had been shooting lights out from the field the few games before that. 57%, 52, 64, 68% from the field. Obviously, that's not going to continue. He's not going to continue to shoot 50, 60% from the field every game. He finally had a poor shooting game, and he came back down to earth with just 36 DK points. I mean, Oubre is always like a kind of risky guy to roster. He's very scoring dependent. If he's not knocking down a lot of shots, I mean, he's not probably going to pay off this price tag. So, especially like on slates where he comes in high owned, I don't think that'll be the case today. But if he were to come in somewhat high owned, I mean, that's just a guy that I'll avoid most nights. I'd just rather play Wiggins for cheaper, especially if Wiggins comes in at lower ownership. Covington, if Towns is out, I think you can definitely play Covington. He's seen a decent boost in his overall production this season with Towns off the floor. Melo, always a guy that's in play, especially at 5,700. I mean, we know Melo's just going to go out there and chuck. I mean, you never know what you're going to get from him. Like, if he's not scoring, he's kind of similar to Kelly Oubre. If he's not knocking down a ton of shots, he's not going to contribute much elsewhere. Like, he's not really going to rebound a ton. You need him to knock down probably 40, 50% of his shots. Against the Raptors, not the best matchup, but 5,700, I think Melo's in play. He wouldn't be a core play for me, though, by any means. I think we definitely have value at small forward, so that's what we'll talk about in a second. But OG, especially with Van Vliet out, I would expect him to pick up some more usage, 5,400. If you want to go to him as a value, he's in play. But we do need to talk about 2 value plays here. So first off, Rondé Hollis-Jefferson, I think is one of the better values right now on this slate. I think he's 4,800 on Draftkings. Let me check that. Yeah, 4,800 on DK, $12 on Yahoo. So RHJ has been coming off the bench just the last few games. They've been starting Lowry, Van Vliet, McCall, OG, and Serge Ibaka. We saw that game against Cleveland. RHJ did get the start in that game. He played 28 minutes as the starting power forward. OG went to the bench in that game. He had 22 Draftkings points. Then OG moved back into the starting lineup in their game against Miami. But RHJ still played 29 minutes off the bench. And in their last game against Brooklyn, he played 26 minutes off the bench. Honestly, I think it's possible that he moves into the starting lineup today and they just shift everybody up a spot. So their starting lineup could potentially be Lowry, McCall, OG, RHJ, and Lowry, McCall, OG, RHJ, and Serge Ibaka. I think that's potentially what their starting lineup could be. It would kind of match up well with Portland. Like, OG could guard Bazemore, McCall could guard McCollum if he plays. Obviously, Lowry would be on Lillard. RHJ could guard Carmelo, and then Ibaka would be on Whiteside. Like, I think RHJ probably starts today, honestly. Like, maybe Terrence Davis starts, maybe someone like Malcolm Miller starts, but it's possible they just move RHJ into the starting lineup and then shift everybody up. I would really like him if he does start. Even if he comes off the bench, they seem pretty confident giving him 26 to 28 minutes right now. He's been a fantasy point per minute player this season. Fast-paced game against Portland. RHJ looks like one of the better values on today's slate. This is a 7 o'clock game, so we'll know their starting lineup before lock. If he is starting, I think he is one of the better values on both sides today. And then another guy I want to talk about as a value, I'm not even going to attempt to say this dude's name, Sekoyo Doumbouya. I have no idea. Sekoyo Doumbouya. Who knows, but 4,600. This guy's been starting the last few games with Blake Griffin and Markieff Morris out, and we already know that both of them are going to be out today. We did see him start at small forward, and they moved Christian Wood to power forward. I think that was just to match up with the Lakers' size. So I think for this game, you're going to see Doumbé move back to power forward. Drummond will obviously start at center, and then they'll go with Tim Frazier, maybe Bruce Brown as shooting guard, Tony Snell. Like, that'll be their starting lineup. Either way, I think he's going to start. The last few games that he started, or just the last 3 games he started, he's played 27, 38, and 34 minutes. He was very productive in his first 2 games against the Clippers and Warriors with 27 and 40 DraftKings points. Last game against the Lakers, only 19 DK points, but that was a very tough matchup against one of the best defensive teams in the league. Now he gets to face one of the worst defensive teams in the league. This season, the Cavs rank 29th in defensive rating. Like, this is a really good matchup. His price has come down a little bit on DK. He's down to 4,600. I think he's one of the better value plays as of now. On Yahoo, he's at small forward, which is very appealing. He's really cheap over there. He's $11. I think he's one of the top small forward plays in terms of like point per dollar as well. I'm expecting him to continue to start and play about 32, 34 minutes against the Cavs. Like, I can look at his rates this season. I don't know how productive he's been in terms of like fantasy points per minute. We can take all the guys off the floor, though, that we know are going to be out. Blake's going to be out. Reggie Jackson remains out. Markeef's going to be out. We know Luke Kennard's going to be out as well. See what kind of sample size we get with this guy playing with those off the floor. So 123 minutes this season with all 4 of those guys off the floor, averaging 0.81 fantasy points per minute, 17% usage rate. I mean, I don't expect him to be a very high usage player, but 12% rebound percentage, which is the 3rd highest on the team behind Drummond and behind Christian Wood. So it's possible he gets you a double-double, especially in a matchup against the Cavs. I really like him as a value at 4,600. I think the minutes are going to be there. The opportunities should be there. He's going to play. I think even if it's a blowout, he still plays. I don't think this game will be a blowout, but I would expect he still plays in a blowout because he is a rookie, I'm pretty sure. So 4,600, really good value play, at least as of now. Then you got the Cavs guys that you could target depending on if Love and Thompson are out. Cedi Osman, you could target for 4,500. If Alfonso McKinney were to start with Porter out, you can maybe target him at 3,400. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to power forward now. So talking about power forward, you got AD at the top for 10,700. AD is definitely one of the top spend-up options on today's slate. I don't think he's going to be a must-play for me or like a priority unless we just get a lot of value. I mean, right now we got a decent amount of value. There's a couple guys under 5K that I think look really good, but we don't have like any cheap 3K, 4K values. We could potentially have some 3K, 4K values though. Like if Peyton and DSJ are both out, that would open up Frank Ntilikina. Maybe if someone starts for the Raptors that we're not expecting, like if Stanley Johnson starts or Malcolm Miller starts, I'm pretty sure both those guys are still minimum 3K. Like, we could get more value today that makes it easier to pay up for AD. I think you can still fit him in pretty easily right now. I mean, it's a matchup against the Knicks. Like, AD should dominate this Knicks front court. Between him, LeBron, and Towns, AD is my preferred guy to go to. But still, I'm not going to consider him a core play, at least as of now. Maybe that could change. I will post my updated core plays over on Patreon if you guys want to get access to those. But right now, I'm going to leave AD out of the early core. But Ibaka and DeAndre Ayton are 2 guys I want to talk about specifically for Yahoo. On DraftKings, they've gotten priced up quite a bit. Ibaka's up to 8,300. Ayton's up to 8,200. It makes sense. I mean, both guys have been playing really well lately. But if we look over on Yahoo, you got Ayton at only $29. Ibaka's all the way down here at $25. I think both those guys really stand out on Yahoo today. It sucks that you have to play both of them at center, so if you want to get them into your lineup, that's gonna restrict you from playing any other guys at util. But I still think it makes plenty of sense. Like, $29 for Ayton is just way too cheap for his usage and his workload right now. We're seeing him start alongside Aaron Baines. That's what they've done the last few games. And Ayton's playing big minutes. Got 32 minutes last game. Got 37 minutes the game before that. Over 40 fantasy points in both games. If I had to project him for like minutes and points today, I'd probably project him for about 32 minutes and 42 fantasy points. A decent matchup against the Kings. The Kings play at a slow pace, but I don't think they've really been good defensively this season. They're sort of middle of the pack in defense in terms of defensive rating. They're 18th in defensive rating. So definitely like DeAndre Ayton over on Yahoo, where his price tag really hasn't adjusted to what it should be. Still too cheap at $29. And then Ibaka, way too cheap as well at $25. We're starting to see him play bigger minutes the last few games. Only played 28 minutes against Brooklyn, but that game was sort of a blowout. I mean, they won that game by 19. Against Miami, we saw Ibaka play 34 minutes. Against Cleveland, 33 minutes. Against OKC, 33 minutes. I think Ibaka plays 32, 34 minutes today. With no Van Vliet, I would expect Ibaka just gets more usage, more shot opportunities. I'm pretty sure he's averaged like 1.2 fantasy points per minute this season with all of those four guys off the floor. Gasol, Siakam, Van Vliet, Powell, with all those guys off the floor. Ibaka's averaged like 1.2 fantasy points per minute. Really good matchup against Portland. Pace-up spot. Portland's not good defensively versus centers. Whiteside is a great shot blocker, but he's not really that elite of a defender. I think Ibaka's way too cheap on Yahoo today. I definitely like him at $25. Where both these guys are priced up on DK, 8,300, 8,200. Don't consider them nearly as strong of plays at their DK salaries. Julius Randle, though, is a guy that I like quite a bit. 7,300 on DraftKings. A little bit of a revenge game for him, going back to Staples Center to face his old team, the Lakers. We know that Julius Randle and the Lakers had some, I'm pretty sure they had some problems when he was looking to get traded and stuff. Or he was with the Lakers last season. I believe he was with the Lakers last season. He was kind of looking to get traded and stuff. They just didn't end on good terms. I could see Randle coming out with a little bit of vengeance here against his old team, against the Lakers. Revenge game or not, Julius Randle's just getting a ton of usage right now. He's been incredibly productive. He's playing huge minutes as well in competitive games. We don't know if this game's going to be close. Right now the Lakers are favored by 13. But the Knicks have been competing lately. I'm not sure if Kawhi and Paul George rested in that game. That was on Sunday, I believe. I think Kawhi might have rested. One of the two might have rested, but the Knicks were able to hang with the Clippers. Only lost by 3. They were able to hang with Phoenix. Only lost by 8. They blew out Portland. They hang with Washington. I think the Knicks can at least keep this game close enough to where Randle gets his full workload and his full amount of minutes. He's been pretty much a 1.25, 1.3 fantasy point per minute guy just the last few weeks. On the season, his rates aren't that good, but he's just been much more productive as of late. He's just kind of he's been more aggressive offensively, really crashing on the boards. He's got a double-double in 3 of his last 4 games. His price is down to $7,300 on DraftKings. Tough matchup, but I really like Julius Randle today at this salary. I just think this is a guy that's going to pay off this price tag most nights, whether it's a tough matchup or not. You just need the game to stay close, and you need him to play his full minutes. And if you get both those scenarios, it's most likely that he goes for over 40 DraftKings points and pays off this salary. So really like Julius Randle today, power forward and center eligible on DraftKings. I think Rashawn Holmes is definitely in play as well. 6,400 against the Suns. He's just getting big minutes right now. No Marvin Bagley. I expect Marvin Bagley remains out today. He didn't play on Monday. I'm assuming he's going to be out again. We saw Holmes start at center just the last few games. He's pretty much been starting at center the whole season. Bagley's been starting alongside him, but 34 minutes from Holmes the last 2 games. 30, 35 DraftKings points. Been a very productive player this season. Pretty much been a fantasy point per minute player. Against the Suns, a team that's really playing big right now, I think they're going to need Holmes to play his 32 to 34 minutes. I really like him on DraftKings at 6,400. I think we can definitely plug him in as an early play right now at 6,400. We maybe can look to pivot elsewhere later on in the day. I might make some changes to the core plays depending on what kind of news we get on Tuesday. But right now, Holmes definitely stands out on DK at 6,400. Yahoo at $27. I think I'd slightly prefer Ayton for $2 more. I think I'd rather save $2 and play Ibaka, but you could still go to Holmes. He'll probably be low owned on Yahoo. But honestly, I think that's probably it for power forward. I think we touched on pretty much everything. You got the Cavs guys that we talked about, especially if Love and Thompson are both out. That's going to open up plays from the Cavs. We saw Zizic and Henson both split the center minutes. We'll talk more about that when we get to center. But that's probably it for power forward. So let's move on to center now. Talking about this position, you do have Towns at the top for 10-8, who we don't know yet if he's going to play. Even if Towns does play today, I think I'd still prefer Davis for $100 less. I think Andre Drummond really stands out today. He's only $9,700 on DraftKings. He's just underpriced for him playing without Blake Griffin right now. He's had some tough matchups recently. Really tough spot against the Lakers. Surprisingly, the Pistons were able to hang in that game. Drummond played 41 minutes, had 45 DraftKings points. Only played 29 minutes against the Warriors, but he fouled out in that game, so he was dealing with foul trouble there. You're going to get probably 36, 38 minutes from Drummond. Honestly, I could probably put him in the core plays if I wanted to. That probably wouldn't leave much salary, though. I guess I could move Randle to forward and then put Drummond in there. Let's see how much salary that leaves. If that leaves a little bit of, or really not much salary, then maybe I'll make some changes. Plug in Randle at forward. Yeah, that leaves about $5K remaining, so I really don't want to do that. I don't want to leave you guys with that little salary. So obviously, you could go Drummond and Holmes, which I guess we could probably plug in now. That leaves you $52.66. You could go with, or take out Drummond and put in Randle. It's whatever you want to do. I definitely want to probably try and build around Drummond, though, at his DK salary. I mean, 9,700 is really cheap for Drummond. I think I kind of overlooked him at the beginning of the video. Like, he's just too cheap, especially for a matchup against the Cavs. I mean, the Cavs are not a good defensive team. They rank 29th in defensive rating this season. Let's see how they've done on the glass. Rebounding percentage, they've actually been pretty good rebounding, which was kind of a surprise. But they've definitely struggled defensively. Drummond torched them earlier this season, had 58 Draftkings points in 30 minutes, 17 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 blocks, and 5 steals. He was really productive in the stocks department. Like, Drummond should never be under 10K when Blake Griffin's out, especially for a matchup against Cleveland. So I wanted to try and get him in there. I guess you could take him out and play Randall. You could take out Holmes and put Randall in there. I like Randall and Holmes both a ton. I would slightly prefer Randall, but putting Randall in there over Holmes only leaves you guys with like 4,900 remaining per player, which I usually try not to do that. Try and leave at least 5K remaining per player. So it's whatever you want to do. Still really like Randall. I think I want to try and get Drummond in the DraftKings core, though, at 9,700. Yahoo at $46. You could probably look elsewhere. I mean, you got Whiteside for a little bit cheaper. You got Lowry at 39. Lillard, I would really like at 45 if McCollum's out. So won't include Drummond on Yahoo, especially because you have like Ayton for way cheaper. You got Ibaka for way cheaper, who just look really good factoring in salary. But DK 9,700. Drummond definitely stands out over there. But then obviously you have Randall, who you could play, who I talked about earlier. I still really like him, 7,300 against the Lakers. Valanciunas you could look to, 7,200 against Minnesota. Probably wouldn't want to pay this price tag for him. Like, he had a monster game last game in 27 minutes against the Suns, 52 DraftKings points. His price got bumped up to 7,200, so he's not a must-play by any means. Honestly, I'd rather play Randall, who's probably going to play 10 more minutes than Valanciunas. He's only $100 more. Gorgie Jang's price is way up, so honestly, I don't really want to go there. Steven Adams in a really good spot against Brooklyn, but I just rarely play Steven Adams, and at 6,600, I don't think this is going to be a slate where I go out of my way to play Steven Adams, even against Brooklyn. Jared Allen's really cheap, but his minutes have been way down recently, so it's pretty hard to trust him right now. Aaron Baines has been starting alongside DeAndre Ayton, which makes me feel good projecting him for bigger minutes. He only played 26 minutes, though, last game. He played 29 minutes against the Knicks. Like, he's probably still going to start and play about 26 to 28 minutes, so he's not the worst value play, but I probably wouldn't go there personally. And then you got the Cavs centers. If Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love are both out, Ante Zizic, John Henson, those two guys split the center minutes last game. Henson got the start and played 23 minutes. Zizic came off the bench and played 25 minutes. Zizic was much more productive. He had 35 DraftKings points, 15 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. I would imagine that Henson starts again if both guys are out, but in tournaments I could see pivoting to Zizic, who will probably be much lower owned. I mean, it's going to be a pretty even split in terms of minutes, I would imagine, probably 24 for each guy. But yeah, I think that's it for center, guys. I think we covered everything in this position. So I think that's it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully it helped you. As always, before you get out of here, I would greatly appreciate it if you would hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not yet as well. Like I said, we're getting very close to 18,000 subscribers, so I'd greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe. Click the notification bell so that way you get notified every time I upload. Follow me on Twitter. I'm very active over there. If you haven't followed me on Twitter yet, feel free to do so at DFS by Noah. Also, if you want to check out all my exclusive content I have to offer over on Patreon, the link to my Patreon is down below in the description. I have a ton of exclusive NBA content I post over there Monday through Friday. I have NFL content going up on the weekends as well. A lot of the work I put in throughout the day is going over to the Patreon. I get these videos up the night before, like I'm recording this video Monday night. I'll post it Monday night, but then on Tuesday, throughout the day and throughout the afternoon, I'm working on getting up content for my Patreon. So definitely would appreciate it if you would at least check out the Patreon stuff, see what I have to offer over there. But yeah, guys, good luck tonight. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the YouTube. Love you guys. Good luck tonight. Peace.